a reflection for me of the year. And they're fucking fun. Because who knows what I'm going to say? Because there always are. There's always something interesting. But I always have to start off. Well, actually, I'll start off to acknowledge that I'm on Comby country on the Gold Coast here. Very grateful to be here, acknowledging elders past, present and emerging. And I just love this place. It's absolutely magical. G'day, Claire. How you going, mate? Just doing my 101 tokens year in review. And I've spent a lot of time just wandering around this spot and slowing down and really enjoying it. And also having tokens on. Maybe I shouldn't crack it open, but I'm going to crack it open. This is my 67th token of the year, Cloud Catcher, one of my favourite beers. G'day, Rudes. Sean, how you going, mate? Get to March. He's like, hurry the fuck up. I just messaged you and said, mate, you won March. There's no prizes, but you won. Anyway, we'll get to that. So if you're watching this on replay and you have no idea, I started a bit of a practice in 2016. Sean, you're just going to have to bloody wait, mate. You know this story, obviously, because you were one of the crew that went through in 2017. Because I was just a bit of a pisshead in London. I was just getting a bit leery. And I was also working in startups and just lost my first job. Take your time. Thanks, mate. Now I can just chill. So I will take my time. Enjoy this beer. So anyway, I was doing a bit too much of that. Tipping way too many in. G'day, Helen. How you going? And lost my job. And I found myself with my flatmate, God. Pretty funny nickname. That's another yarn about why his nickname is God. But God and myself were sitting there watching reruns in North London of the Premier League for the third time. And God would just usually say something like, pub. And that was his way of asking me if I wanted to go to the pub. And I went, yeah, sure, God, let's go to the pub. I didn't say that. I was just like, yep. And as I was laying on the couch, like Homer Simpson with the beer, I got up, had like a 1 pound Estrella, which is like really what they would call chavvy, we'd call bogans here. G'day, Tazza. Mate, I was looking at photos from our trip to Germany before, which Rudin was also on. This is cool. So anyway, I tipped as I went up, we went to go to the pub with God, which was just up the road, cracking pub. And I spilt the beer down into my love handle. And I just had this really gross feeling of, turning 30. And I'm spilling warm beer into my couch. And I'm just about to go and use my last few dollars on beers that I don't have really the money to pay for because I've just lost my job. London's an expensive place to live if you don't have a job. Anyway, so I sent God off to the pub and I said, mate, off you go. And I was just laying there going, fuck, what am I going to do? I've got to figure something out. And I was listening to a fella named Tim Ferriss a lot at the time. And Tim Ferriss had a challenge. And that challenge was to quit masturbation and drinking for a whole month. And I thought not very long and hard about both those things and thought, fuck that, I'm not doing either. But it did inspire me to think that, his whole ethos was, you've only got one life, why not treat it like a big experiment? And so I thought, yeah, okay, I just need to do a bit of research and try and find an experiment that I like. And I couldn't really find, the mindful drinking thing's taken off now. It's pretty big. And I'm sure there were people doing it back then, probably just called people who don't get fucked up all the time and enjoy drinking. It's probably just all mindful drinking is. And I couldn't find anything really. And anything that I wanted to do was either sobriety or nothing. And so, I created this thing called 101 Tokens. I wrote this blog. My friends got hold of the blog, didn't even realise it was me writing it, which was a cool moment, actually, at the pub, ironically. And I said that this year, rather than drinking 5 nights a week, because I was hitting it pretty hard, 5, 6 nights a week, I was only going to hit it 2. So that was 101 tokens for the year, which if you do your maths, you got 104 if you hit it twice a week. So I was just under twice, but 104 wasn't as catchy. And because I did marketing and all that kind of stuff, you have to make stuff catchy, right? Otherwise people won't listen to you. 101 Tokens was born. And I did that for a whole year, and I made many fuck ups, and I also learnt a shitload about myself, and also managed to do a bunch of stuff that other people found pretty cool, such as get a business off the ground with Southampton FC here in the Premier League. I put on weight. I lost all the fat and put on muscle, so I looked good. And I went travelling a bunch, and I saved $8,000. So that's a lot of money. Well, it was back then. Still is pretty good. So people wanted to do it with me. People like Sean and a bunch of other mates, friends and family. And 2017 was just an experimental year. And then the year after, we built an app. And so from then, we've had an app. People have been using it. Unfortunately, there's a bit of a sad part of this story is the app is going to cease to exist. It's going to sleep for a little while, I'll put it that way. So anyone who's still using the app, it won't be around because on the next Apple upgrade, it won't work for you anymore. And it's down on the Android store. Many reasons behind that, but I'll tell you there's a silver lining at the end. And if you want to know, just DM me if you can't be fucked, listen to this whole thing, which is fair enough because I'm just enjoying a token. And so what I do every year is I review all of my months. And so you might find this a little bit boring, but I'm going to try and make it exciting because I like to think of myself as a bit of a storyteller these days. And the cool thing about doing something like recording your drinking and your nights out and all this kind of stuff, whether you want to call it journaling or just recording, is that you actually remember it. There's no way I would remember all this stuff. I'd write all the time, but I wouldn't say I'd journal. So unless I write a blog, I'm probably not going to remember it. So I've got all of my drinking occasions for the last 6 years all stored away, either in my Winnie the Pooh calendars in my drawer or in my tokens. Or I did these reviews, so I've got the videos, which are kind of a bit more exciting anyway, hey? Or hopefully. So let's kick it off. January, I drank 6 times. G'day, Lara. How you going, mate? I'm just going to say g'day to people on the lives. I feel like that's the nice thing to do. Usually I just record this and it's not live. But anyway, January I drank 6 times and had 5 yays and 1 nay. Forgot one thing. The whole process of 101 tokens was to drink less, right? 101 times initially. And every time I drank alcohol, the next day I would wake up and I'd say whether it was worth it or not. That's the process. It's just a simple inquiry. You wake up, you can't do it that night because you'd be like, this is the best night ever because you're on the terps. Next morning, you have a bit of clarity. You're like, wasn't the best night ever. And so what I realized is what the patterns and trends that were occurring in my drinking on my nay nights. And my yay nights or yeses, I was like, cool, I did it pretty well. And your values and your boundaries move through that time. But I think I hit about 80%. So that's not bad for the first year. It was somewhere around 80%. And every time I get a nay, I'd be sitting there going, okay, well, what made that up? And eventually I'd define the traits in my drinking, whether it was like the food I was eating, the booze I was drinking, the people I was hanging out with, the locations I was attending, headspace at the time, work, all these different things were like reasons for like why I was drinking. Intention, massive one. And after a couple of years observing myself and then observing other people's behaviors, I created a program and did a bit of coaching around it. I haven't been doing a lot of that lately, but that's going to come at the end about what the thing is, which is a fully complimentary service, and I'm fucking frothing on it because it takes away the pressures of the business stuff. Anyway, so yeah, the yays and the nays are basically the reds and the greens. And when people see a lot of reds, that means usually time to change something. So this month, in this 2021, January, 6 tokens used, 5 yays, and 1 nay. Now, because I've just gone through all my tokens, I will say that most of my yays are like 1 beer or a couple of wines or something with my partner Jackie, and they usually are a yay. And then this one, I'm going to start with the nay first. The nay was a night out in Noosa, and we had good food, really good food, and a couple of wines, but I was in a real shitty headspace. I think I just was overcooking the chook. I was working on the farm and I was trying to do a lot in my business. Head was kind of like swirling, and then being out at dinner, I was just, when you got one of those, like usually things that piss you off is like this. You can take a breath and like deal with it. I was like this. I was one of those nights. So it was my fault. But that was a nay. I shouldn't have had wine. Like, if you feel like that, that's not the time to drink. That's the time to just have a nice meal and then call it a night. Anyway, so these are the important things, because every time you get a nay, you remember that. And then so I'm sure, I guarantee you, so many date nights over this, I would not drink if I felt like that. And that's fucking important, because I know that a lot of collisions occur when people drink when they're in a shitty headspace, including myself. So, but the yay, let's go to the yay. And on the app, I can't show you the app because I'm using my phone, but it's kind of like micro blogging. I shouldn't talk about the app because I'm shutting it down, but anyway, you can do this. Don't think of yourself, you have to write a full diary entry. If you really want it, I've got a workshop on how to record all this stuff that doesn't need the app. So we're going back to fuck digital, let's go analog. Anyway, so it's just like a title and then a really short little thing on what the token was about. And so I wrote like curious chocolate at Reunion HQ. So I was running a project with 3 of my dear friends at this beautiful property in Broken Head, Bunjalung Country, down the road. And curious chocolate, you can make of it what you wish. But yeah, we just have the best yarns, that crew, and it's been a little bit sad not being able to connect with them over the last year, or at least the middle of the year to now. But it's all changing. It's always changing. Who knows? Flux. There's frothers everywhere. And so yeah, that was the big yay for the month. It was just a good solid yarns, and like I'm pretty sure there was whales that day. I'm just remembering doing a sort of creative design session out on the balcony overlooking the ocean, and having some curious chocolate. Good times. Anyway, February, 5 tokens used. 5 tokens. Sean, if you're still there, we're almost at March because that comes next. So we left our old pad, me and Jackie, at Mermaid Beach, and we had like just an epic meeting of frothers come. And my friend Claire turned up and she made cacao. It's like really good ceremonial cacao. So people were like, whoa, holy shit, what's this stuff? Which is a beautiful drink to have by itself. Probably don't mix it with alcohol. So for the people who weren't drinking, it was really good. I might have been cheeky and had some and the alcohol. That's fine. A little bit of spit there. Yeah, it was just great. I had my mates Bob and Graham turn up with ice cream, and there was just a lot of the frothers sort of congregated, came together, and that's my favourite thing. And we used to live on Mermaid Beach in the Gold Coast, and we used to have a balcony rooftop that looked over the ocean, and yeah, it was sick. You didn't win January. What happened in January, Sean? And hey, let's riff with this. If you want to come on and talk about your best token of the year, you can, mate. Because if you want, just say, I don't know how you do it, but we did it the other day. I'd like to jump on and have a yarn, because you can. And then I actually had 4 tokens in a row. Australia Day. What do we do on Australia Day? See, if I had my app, I'd just go, Australia Day. You didn't win January. I don't know, it might be talking about yourself. Anywho. Oh, yeah, we did hang out. We went to the beers at the surf club. Yeah, that was good. That was yay. Yeah, you didn't not win. You just didn't win the number 1 token. So don't feel bad, because you've won March, mate. Just be proud of that, all right? Putting pressure on me here. No, that was good. That was a good couple of beers, mate. That was a good yarn. Yeah, I think those yarns, and that's to me is like some of the best parts of drinking culture. So you didn't win, yeah, fair enough. Is having honest yarns, and unfortunately a lot of the time it takes a couple beers to do that, but sometimes that can be like a really good lubricant when you don't go too far. Yeah, but that's the problem with, I guess, the culture, is we go too far a lot of the time, and that's shit, because then you don't fucking remember the good part of the yarn. Anywho, just wanted to yeah, thanks, mate. And thanks for that love heart, whoever put that up. Good job. And yeah, shout out that I had 4 green tokens in a row, which is really good. It was Ben and Lucy's wedding. Shout out to them. Was the culmination of that in Canberra. And yeah, usually if there's 4 tokens in a row, this is just my memory from back in the days, is there would be a red in there somewhere, because drinking consecutive days is usually a problem, but I think I must have just been, I think there was just, Anyway, on to the next one, March. Here, I'll have a sip so I can calibrate my brain again. Does that work? Who knows? Also grew a beard this year, so I think that makes me wiser. March. Okay, here we go. Woo! 6 tokens for March. And the number 1 yay, which comes from a yay from last year when I met Ian, my buddy, who's maybe watching this as well from Burley Hill. We were doing a comedy routine, and we both I fucked it. I got booed, and Ian won the competition. Since then, we've become real good buddies. We tried to get a little podcast off the ground. Didn't really work, but it was heaps of fun. So I got to hang out with my old school buddies, like from years ago, Cam and Sean, who's on here now, and took them, and Cam's sister, and we went to see Ian do an actual sort of, pro comedy gig, like after you do those ones where you, what are they called, raw comedy, so like full beginners. He's actually on the circuit. And yeah, it was a sick night. It was really good, like lots of rafflecopters, and I didn't kick on, which Sean's led me to believe might have led him to a nay. But we'll just say that I I tapped out and had a good night in Brizzy, and love it. And it's also cool because Sean and Cam were part of that 2017 Token crew, which is fucking awesome. So it's always good to have a beer with some Token crew, even though they were my loosest mates from back when we were in our early 20s, gallivanting around and having goon parties. Oh, here's a song. Can't believe I remember this. It'll come back to me. It's something about a goon party. Rudin, you'll probably remember it. Anyway. I'm being followed by a goon party. Goon party, goon party. That's going to sound really weird, except to us, because we used to really have goon parties on Sundays pretty regularly. Anyway, early years. I just remember singing that, absolutely ruining that Cat Stevens classic every Sunday. Anyway, nays. Oh, this one is called shit. Yeah, FIFA as well. Shit champagne and spritz mix. So I dare anyone to have a shit champagne and spritz mix and have that be a yay. Because I'm not 100% sure about that one, but I'm pretty sure we tried. Jackie wanted to drink champagne and I didn't want the champagne because I don't like champagne, so I tried to put a spritz mix. It's a failure from the start. This is why you need intention. If you're going to go drinking, you have an intention for what you would like to drink, what's the purpose of drinking, and there's no way that if I actually sat with some intention about drinking a champagne with spritz, nah, never going to make it. Anyway, that's why it gets crossed off, because you just don't do that again. April, 4 tokens, all yays. Good stuff. And that would have been, I thought it was wedding beers, but it's weeding beers. So having a couple of beers after weeding the garden, pretty good times. Yeah, anyway. And then there was beers with, on top of the slab. How Australian is that for building? Yeah, there's a slab out there where there's a pool. It's like this Colosseum pool and the property I live on. And we were having some beers on the slab watching the sun go down after a hard day of weeding. Yep, good times. That sounds pretty Aussie. Okay, May, on to May. Only drank twice. Only 2 tokens in May. And the first one was I was going away to work at a festival called Earth Frequency. And I remember there being a little bit of wobbliness with Jackie and myself. And so we ended up having a really, really good red wine, deep chats, good food, because I was going away and we didn't want me to go away on that like the negative vibe. And that was a really great example of when, red wine is a good option. So yeah, it kind of goes back on what I said before slightly, but I think maybe, feeling into it and going, okay, yeah, this would be a good opportunity to have a red wine for makeup and what goes along with that. And then, off I went to Earth Frequency, which is a huge rave. Well, we're probably not a rave. No worries, mate. It's just a recording, so it'll be there for anyone who wants to watch it. Like I said, it's more for me. And ended up not. I got to the Earth frequency, and I didn't drink alcohol. I didn't have coffee. I didn't do any extracurricular activities, and I fasted most of the time. And I was working on a stage, on a workshop stage, and so it was this kind of like wild challenge that I'd set myself at this place. And I was by myself, and I also a big part of that challenge was not having to hang out with people I knew. So I spent a lot of the time, if I bumped into friends, I'd have a boogie with them or something, and then I'd just piss off and go do something by myself. And also spent a lot of time, if anyone's been to that festival at Wonky Town, because that was the only stage that was just playing banging EDM the whole time. And it was frothy. But yeah, that was a really interesting kind of taking myself into an experience where I would normally have been drinking or doing other stuff, and just observing how I feel and how I feel around those people. And I think Earth Frequency is a bit different. It's not like a wreckhead bender festival. It's like, you got families there, and sure, there's wreckheads, but there was, I felt definitely where I was working, the vibe of more people who were just there to have a really good time. And something I noticed, going to a festival like that and coming away feeling actually better than when you went in, is a new thing for me across the board with going to festivals like that. And, it only took 30-something years, because normally it's, you got 2-3 days, sometimes a whole week of recovery. But yeah, that's kind of the power, I guess, of and in other occasions, still drinking and still doing all the other stuff, but having intention and actually, using vice optimization. It's my favorite thing to talk about. Okay, here we go. June. Speaking of little raves, my buddies have something called Mullet Fest down the road, a couple of hours down the road, and 8 tokens that month. And Mullet Fest was awesome. It was the first time I took Jackie to a doof, and we fully boogie-woogied. It was sick. And didn't drink too much, didn't get too loose, and just enjoyed it. I actually had a surf one morning before I went back to the party. And good food, really good yarns with people. And it was so good. Shout out to my buddy Wings for that, and Suze as well. And then also there's an honorary mention of other Yay tokens, which was to a couple who are dear friends of mine, Billy Otto and Sylvie, because one was playing music. Billy had a live show in Bruns, and that was just a sick day. I think I had one Guinness, one just chill Guinness, and then at Sylvie she was having her art. Whatever you call an art launch, something like that, and that was pretty sick. Just a couple of wines, and also some mushroom drinks as well. We had some, not those kinds of mushrooms that you're probably thinking, but from the, I can't remember the brand, but they were delicious as well. So it's kind of like the cacao from before I was talking about. It's kind of like this upper drink, upper with a little bit of red wine, nice. And no nays, so that's pretty good. And July, no nays either. So maybe I'm getting better, but I'll tell you the stats at the end compared to last year. If you're just joining us, I can't tell who's joining and who's looping in and out. So I'm doing a 101 tokens review. Surely there'd be some way to do that, but no, it doesn't really tell you. Anyway, I'm sure it does. I just can't figure it out. 4 tokens and all yays. And the best one was definitely having beers out on my friend's property out near Roma in Western Queensland. Shout out to Nikki and Peter, just out on this huge cattle farm that they look after. And it's like half the size of the Gold Coast. That's what kind of size we're talking. And just it's such a beautiful experience to drive around and listen to Peter and Nikki, who've got like this epic connection to the land, and hear what they've got to say. And they just basically took us on tours, and I'm super keen to get back out there and support what they're doing. Magic. They just got hit with floods as well, so next year is going to be super frothy. I'm just super pumped for it. August, 5 tokens, 1 nay. This was too many something stayed up late watching. Yeah, staying up late watching football gets me. If I stay up late and have beers, like this will be. I think someone said maybe it was like Aubrey Marcus or one of those dudes. Maybe it was one of my mates. Can't remember. That half the issue with your hangover is that you stayed up later than you normally do. It's probably Matthew Walker or Dr. Huberman, someone like that. And that's I can prove that's true, because if I stay up late and watch a Premier League game, it's more likely that I'm going to wake up, even though I might not have drank as much as I would on another night where I went to bed at my normal time. I stayed up late, had a couple of beers, watched football, went to bed at midnight, and I wake up shitty. It's because your sleep is like, I always say that's probably your second most important thing to be cognizant of. And your breath is your first, because you don't breathe, you don't live. But if you don't sleep, you probably won't live very long either. So that's pretty apparent there. That where I was looking at nays, I was like, yeah. Football comes up a little bit, and yeah, my yay for the month was just a really chill Sunday with my mate having beers, Ryan, and his dog Chili, and I think just because I think when I look at it, and because you can see, I hadn't just had a Sunday sesh for a while. And it wasn't a sesh. We had probably 3, maybe 4 beers. And just a good yarn and good food. Like, that's all. It's not how I used to do it, but I appreciate that so much, especially a good yarn. And Ryan's an absolute frother, one of the best. So, yeah, shout out to him and Amber for having us for Christmas as well. That was sick. Also a frother, Amber. September, tokens, 5 tokens. Yep, 5 tokens. 5 yays. Good job, me again. Well done. And so there's a tie for poetry night with my buddy Danny Redbard. Went up there, had 1 beer, did my first 3 poems I've ever done live in front of an audience. That was pretty sweet. Yeah, just a really beautiful experience. I think when you do something like that, like if I parallel that to the year before when I did comedy for the first time, you got 120 people that have no fucking idea who they are. Literally didn't know anyone in the audience. Dark room, super like gnarly. You can barely see the people in the front row. And then when I did the poetry, it was just a group of really welcoming people sitting around having a good feed, having a drink, and my friend Danny embodying the God Pan. So yeah, really good times. And the tie for that is something I've been working on this year with my buddy Steve Brophy, called Seeing You at Source. And I like to do the pun of seeing you at source, seeing you at source. Or at source, like past the source. Anyway, moving on from that, it's basically just a dialogue. So there's 5 questions, maybe 6, 5 questions, and you do it over dinner. And it's a way to, it's a series of conversations, but we just did the first one with my buddies I just mentioned before, plus Jess and Darren, 2 really close buddies of mine as well. And I got to host Seeing You at Source in the flesh, because I've done it 2 or 3 times via Zoom, and it's super powerful. That's how good it is. It's powerful either way. And we did it, and yeah, it was cool. It was really fucking cool. And so definitely a yay, and I think the beers contribute to that. Good times. October, birthday month, October. If you're just joining, I'm doing my 101 tokens year in review. 6 tokens, 4 yays, 2 nays, righto. So Lads Arvo with Darren, Murray and Ryan. It's just, like I said before about that Sunday, it was just an old school get together, go to the pub on a Friday down at Burleigh. And didn't have too many beers, just enough to have a frothy yarn. And that was it. I was just like, fuck, that was good. But you know what happened? I got excited about that, and I thought, you know what, my birthday's coming up, I'm going to do that. And that's where the nay hit. And it wasn't a nay because the night wasn't bloody awesome. it was a nay because the night was bloody awesome, and then the 4 beers that we had chasing a scotch, I didn't need that, and it wiped me out for the next day, and I missed this awesome party that I was supposed to go to, and which sucks because the people who throw those parties have moved to Mexico, and those parties are no more. So, oh well, no regrets. I enjoyed my birthday, but it was definitely a nay. Yeah, don't need those 4 extra beers. Don't need to go hunting out scotch at the end of the night. Anyway, but sometimes it's good. Like if we had just found that one scotch, I reckon I probably would have had one, and then I would have come home. Do you trust me? I don't know if I trust myself. Just kidding. November, 8 tokens, 7 yays, 1 nay. And the winner was the Entrepreneur EO event, which was sick. It's the first live workshop I've run in ages, and I had sort of 40 entrepreneurs turn up for this event, and we had Lozen from Sober, who's an absolute fucking frother, and Katie from Clovendo come down, and we sat on a panel, and it was a yarn about, I guess, mindful drinking, whatever that is again, and yeah, we just basically kind of were interviewed by one of the EO crew, and it was just this really awesome thing to sit there next to these 2 powerhouse women and hear them tell their yarns to this crowd of entrepreneurs about how successful their businesses are at the moment, and raising bunches of money, like interest everywhere. Made me think of my other mates who were just raised $8 million with their non-alcoholic beer as well, and I'm just like, shit, like 4 years ago when I was in Sydney, I was trying to get this thing together called the Mindful Drinking Collective. Joshy Holiday was helping me do that as well. And I just had this vision of like being in a really nice bar and sitting there with other people who were trying to, you know, change Australian drinking culture. I wasn't sure what that really looked like. And you know, Sober was actually in the room back then. Clovendo didn't exist yet, but I just knew that was going to happen at some point, and I think the Mindful Drinking Collective is a shit name. Back then it sounded all right, and MDC, but it just didn't get the traction that I wanted. But you know, sometimes things take longer to land than you expect. So I was just super frothy that I was there to witness that, and I'm sure that's going on all over the place because everyone's frothing on non-alcoholic beers and spirits, and that's really cool. And so yeah, I was pretty honoured to sit there and do that. And then I got to run a workshop on vice optimization, which is really cool because I haven't done that in a while. And I love doing that for entrepreneurs. And it's not to be wanky and say, oh, it's good to... The fundamental thing is that when you get to run a workshop for people who run their own businesses, or regardless of that, if they're there independently and they kind of feel sovereign, that is a million times better than if you're running a workshop for a company and there's tension in the room about what I can and can't say, what I can and can't reveal. And to loop that back, that's what Seeing You at Source is all about, is that fuck that way of the corporate culture where you can't actually show up as a whole human. Seeing You at Source is the way to have a really simple yarn over tea, over coffee, over a dinner, and start to see humans for who they are. And it's underpinned by Christine McDougall and the Syntropic World ethos, which is magical. Christine's one of my mentors. And actually, I have to do a shout out for a 1 beer token that I had with Christine and Tony, her partner. Tony's a fucking legend as well. And yeah, just dropped in, wasn't expecting to have a beer. They offered me a Corona, and I went, you know what? Definitely having one. And I did, and it was delicious. Yeah. So that was November, but there was a nay, and it was on my birthday, and it was after a yay. I went away with Amber and Ryan, and I bought this fucking sugary pretzel. Like, it was about this big. Like, it's twice the size of my head, sugary pretzel. And I ate a little bit of it in the morning, and I went, why did I buy that? But anyway, I put it in the fridge, and then Man United were playing that night. I think we were playing Man City. I think we lost 2-0, something like that. And everyone went to bed, and I had a nightcap with 1 more beer, and I went and polished the rest of the pretzel. And I could feel that pretzel all the next day, along with the booze and the late night. So that was my nay. Okay, and then we're here at December. 7 tokens so far. This will be the 8th. This cloud catcher. Woohoo. So good. I really love it. 7 tokens. No nays yet. I'm not sure about this 8th one. I'll find out tomorrow. I think I'm pretty safe here. But you never know. And the yay that comes up was the beers plus the build was the title of the token, which was hanging out with the fellas that off with the grid. Which is Jaden, Tim, Buzz. Oh, Tim is Buzz, and Joshy Holiday, who I just mentioned before. And as we're building our tiny home and being able to hang out with those lads on a property in Yamundi, Gubby country, and sick. It was really cool to be like doing a little bit of work up there and then having a frothy with the boys, and Jackie of course as well. And then we went and had some Italian. It was a nice way to finish off the night. And beers in the build. That's a good bloody. Maybe that, yeah. Anyway, there's a riff. There's a thread there. And then also I put in an honourable mention because I went to Jackie's Christmas party. She's a school teacher up at Silkwood. I just wondered if I was allowed to say that then. Of course I am. It's fucking fine. I think so. It was awesome. We ate a heap of food, and this was the awesome thing. And I'm going to plug it because I have to, because that's how I'm going to round this out. But Jackie and I spent the last couple of years doing this. Many a token would have been spent having red wine and chatting about this stuff. And also the questions. Every single time I spent a token on a Friday night, I would be asking the get-together questions right there. And this is why this is important, because these questions we asked each other for the end of the year. And so the reason why this gets a mention with the Silkwood party is that people are asking, oh, hey, Benny, I've heard heaps about you. What do you do? And I had this awesome opportunity to say, I write books with Jackie. That's my job. I'm an author. I'm co-author now, which is really cool. And so the get-togethers, and this is one of my clients last year. She has this thing called the year of, and at the start of every year, she decides it's going to be the year of something. Last year, when the COVID stuff was kicking off, she declared that it was the year of the picnic. So she was going to invite her friends to picnics. And I thought that was really cool, and that sort of stuck with me, and I actually shared it with everyone in the community as well. Try and think of what is this going to be the year of. And Jackie said to me, 2022 should be the year of the get-together. Like, let's get together. And when we get together, let's have yarns. Maybe it'll involve tokens, beers or other vices. Maybe it'll just, involve some great questions. And so the get-together questions are our weekly date night questions. And I was supposed to go to the farm today, but I didn't make it. So all me and the farm crew, we were going to do the get-together questions. They did them without me, so that's really cool. And these are the 4 questions. What are you proud of? So you can say this year, what are you proud of that you did this year? What was challenging this year? What did you do well this year? And what can you do better next year? That's basically it. And so they're 4 really simple questions that you could ask, and they can encompass a relationship like they do from Jackie and I. They could encompass your business scenario, who you work with. It could encompass your football team. And they do encompass a football team because one of my breathwork coaches, he coaches AFL and NRL teams, and they ask 3 of those 4 questions. I've got to tell him that he's missing one. But so that's a really cool thing. Is it? I don't know. Depends. You guys decide what's cool. You get to make up what's cool for you. And that's pretty much it. So 67 tokens for the year. Tomorrow's New Year's Eve. I haven't got any plans. I might lay low. Although I know that there's a fury that builds up inside me when I don't go and do something on New Year's Eve. And last year that was a nay because I went and overcooked the chalk. So I'll probably need to find a bit of a middle ground there. But yeah, I've had 90% yay, so that's pretty good this year. I've been around the 90 mark. G'day, Bruce. Late arrival, mate. How you going? I'm just finishing up my 101 tokens review of the year. I've drank 67 times, so I'm nowhere even close to 101. But that hasn't really been a thing for me for probably 3 years of this, the last 3 years. And 90% yays, because we're all still learning. And here's the thing about any vice, anything that's been a vice for you in your life, it would be naive to think, unless you fully cut it out, that there's not that little cheeky fella on this side of your your shoulder that says, go on, have another one. Whether it's chocolate, whether it's, going for another flick of the old bloody Instagram, or which I'm guilty of today, watching bullshit on YouTube. It's all there. So it's a lifelong practice. And if anything, that it proves to me this last 6 years of mapping my drinking is that I'm still going to have days where there's going to be a nay. And thankfully, it's not so much the big blowouts like our friend Craig had last night. Just a trip to the old hospital. Yeah, hopefully less of that. But that was definitely me, trips to the hospital. Probably once or twice a year at least, which is not fucking cool, right? Anyway, so to round this out, 101 Tokens app is coming to a close. Like I said, there's a workshop that I've run, and I'll be sending this to all my 101 Tokens crew, so people can continue to do it. The Android app's been down for ages, and there's people just doing the old school analog way. And it's just kind of felt energetically like I wasn't really frothing on building an app anymore. Like it wasn't really part of the dream. But there's been something that's come up multiple times over the years with my private clients, mainly with people who I guess they've got a status online. It's usually professional, and but even offline. Friends and family, all this kind of stuff, it's confidential as fuck a lot of the time. They don't want people to know that they're trying to change their drinking habits, because I think as soon as you admit that you want to change it, there's this stigma attached to it. And, I felt it. You can get sort of slammed from your own friends and family for it. You don't have a drinking problem, you're just, blah, blah, whatever. It's well, you probably class a problem when you're getting into trouble and, your life's not going the way that you were planning it, and it's because of drinking. I call that a problem. It doesn't have to be a full-blown alco. And I think there's the grey area, as one of my clients said. He goes, I don't need AA, I'm just an AD, I'm an Aussie drinker. And so you just need a bit of a tune-up. So with that kind of riff, I'm going to be running they're going to just be open yarns, because what I've learnt with the book, working with a company called Yarn Australia, which I love, and I'm super proud to co-facilitate yarns with those guys, is that it's all in the yarn. It's all in the coming together and having a chat about stuff. And so I'm going to be running something called Frothers Anonymous, just because it sounds fun. And it's going to be a bi-monthly, so once every couple of weeks. It's just going to be people who want to jump on and talk about their drinking. And I used to run stuff with Joshy, which was called the Friday Drinks Club, and we just used to get together. Instead of going to the pub on a Friday, we'd get together, and you could bring your beers, you could bring your whatever, your kombuchas or your water, and we would just have a good open conversation about drinking. No real agenda. And so I'm my offering, because I feel like a little bit sad that the Tokens app is closing, is to invite people to these yarns, and you don't have to put your real name down, you don't have to have your face on camera, and I'm going to do them a couple times a month and just see if there's a keenness for it. And I don't actually know what the yarns are going to be about. If people are interested, I've been building out strategies and things for a long time, but what I've found over the years is I learn just as much from the people who I've been coaching as I do from my own experiences, because I'm not drinking that much these days, so I don't have a lot of data points. But I've definitely got plenty of data points from back in the day. So yeah, that's my wrap. It's still under 101tokens.com, so if you want to check that out, but it's going to be under www.froth.academy very soon. And I'm pretty excited for that to be the next chapter. And then, there's a couple of people who've come to me and said they're interested in firing up the app at some point. And I'm just going to let that organically be recreated. And it might be someone who comes along like I was in 2016, 2017, and really fired up about. No, I wasn't until 2018. I got fired up about creating it into something that could be sort of shared globally. I remember we got an article in Serbia. That was pretty cool. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So, yeah, if you know someone who'd be keen on jumping into Frothers Anonymous, which is about how to improve your drinking habits, not about sobriety, but it might become about that for you, which has been the case for many people who've done 101 tokens. They've ended up giving it a flick completely. Then feel free to pass it on. And as always, if someone wants to send me an email directly, I'll keep my benny@101tokens.com email. If someone wants to DM me on Instagram, it's my same name. I'm always down for a yarn to help someone who's in that sort of wobble state. Because how can we get people to be more frothing and stoked? And I think vice optimization is a big part of that. Anyway, much love everyone. If you're watching this on replay, thanks for sticking with it. Yeah, super excited about 2022. It's going to be fucking awesome. And have a ripping New Year's Eve and 2022. And catch you later.